Sorry about the camera mishap on part one here. This is part two of what we have to drink of some man's flesh and eat of his flesh and drink of his blood. So let's get back to our Yahuchanan 2, please. Okay, we covered earlier 6 stone water pots, the water that's set apart for the cleansing. And he was that red heifer. If you remember back in the last couple of chapters of Luke, that he dripped sweat drops of blood on the Mount of Olives where the red heifer was burned. And that is the symbolism of the type that he is the red heifer. His blood was in the same spot where the red heifer was burned. Okay? And it's the water for uncleanness. See, and that water for uncleanness and washing away the problems, you have to be, okay, I'll give you an example of this water. If you touch a dead body, with a family member who dies, you have to go through all the funerals. On the 3rd day and the 7th day, you have to go through a procedure and then be sprinkled with this water of uncleanness to remove the death off of it, of a dead man's countenance off of us. It's a procedure by this water. See, he removes death from us, and this is where the wine comes from. These water pots that are used for cleansing, he filled them up and made wine out of them. And see, that's the wine or the grape juice that we partake at Passover, the fruit of the vine. You see? But see, it's drash and sod and remez combination. It's going to be all three too. Because remember, all 4 of the good news besoras, they're all 4 different levels of Scripture. Yahuchanan is basically the sod. It's the mystery. It's encoded. It's buried in you. You have to know your Torah enough to know how to dig out all the symbolism and the pictures and what it's hinting at. You follow me? So that's where that water came from that made the wine. That's the wine we drink at the Passover. Again, it's Luke 24 or something like 22 or 23, I forget, somewhere in there. The water of consecration that he actually dripped drops of blood from his sweat on that same mount. And I'll read this a little bit too. He is the second Adam. Again, the 6 water pots, the 6th day for the Adam, and the water for washing for uncleanness. And let's hit a few verses of this. On the 3rd day there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee. And the mother of Yahusha was there, and both Yahusha and his taught ones were invited. We're assuming it was his sister. Now they went short of wine, and the mother of Yahusha, Miriam, she said to him, "They have no wine." And Yahusha said to her, "Woman, what is this that you do to me? My hour's not yet come." And the mother said, or Miriam said to the servants, "Do whatever he says to you." Now there were 6 stone water pots standing there, according to the mode of cleansing of the Yahudim, each holding 2 or 3 measures apiece. Again, 6 is the second Adam, or the time Adam was created, the 6th day. So he says, "Fill the water pots with water." And they filled them up with water to the brim. And then he said, "Now draw them out and take it to the master of the feast." So they took it. Now when the master of the feast had tasted that water, which had become wine, he did not know where it came from, but the servants did. So the master of the feast called the bridegroom and said, "Every man at the beginning he sets out the good wine. But when everybody's well drunk, they put out the poor." So this is the beginning to explain why we drink of his blood. It's the water of cleansing that was turned into wine for the purpose of a wedding. For the purpose of a wedding on the 3rd day. We marry the master on the beginning of the 3,000th year. Okay? He came 2,000 years ago, and through the millennium there's a 3,000 year period. It's a 3,000th year day wedding that we drink of the water. And go just read, it's Numbers 19, Numbers 9 picks it up, Leviticus 6. I have to go dig up the scriptures again. I'm not prepared for that. I wanted to stay basically in Yahuchanan. But just Google the water cleansing and learn where it all comes from. Okay, that's the first point of why we drink his blood. We're not commanded to go and bleed him and drink his blood. No, we drink the water of regeneration, or the water of renewal, because those people who do not get renewed after touching a grave, a dead body, and, 4 or 5 different things would have to be destroyed from Israel if they're not cleansed with this water. And we haven't. We've been removed the death off of us. The death of our own dead bodies that we have touched has been removed for the wedding on the 3rd day. So that's one of the hints, the sod level hints you have to dig by the Ruach showing you this is where I'm taking. He didn't say drink blood. It's the water of regeneration that was turned to wine. See, Yahuchanan is the sod. It explains it in a mystery. You have to sit there and analyze it. And we're going to chapter 3. There's another few things I wanted to share with you that's really exciting. Yahuchanan, or John chapter 3, verse 5, please. I'll start out 4. So Nakdiman, he said to him, well, how is it that a man is able to be born when he is old? Is he able to enter into his mother's womb the 2nd time and be born? And Yahushua HaMashiach, he answered him and said, truly, truly, I will say to you that unless one is born of water and the Spirit, born water. A baby is in a womb full of water that's renewed every day. Remember, the water in the womb is renewed every day because there's urine in there. Okay? I'll tell you. Unless one is born of water, the water of renewal in the wine, the Passover, and of the Ruach, he is unable to enter the reign of Elohim. You see? So that's another hint that leads along with it. Now let's go to chapter 5. I'm going to try to do this in just a couple of these short YouTube videos. Yahuchanan chapter 5, 1 through 9, please. 5, 1 through 9. Now after this, there was a festival of the Yehuditi, and Yahushua went up to Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem there was a sheep gate. At the sheep gate there was a pool there called in the Hebrew, that's Zathab, or Zathab, that had 5 porches. Now there's one lying there, a great number of all those who were sick, the blind, the crippled, the paralyzed, waiting for the stirring of the water. For Melech went down at a certain time into the pool, and he stirred the water. Pay attention, connect the water now. And now remember, Yahushua's phasing out the physical water, and by the confession of his word is giving this crippled man spiritual water. That's the same analogy of putting him in the water of that pool to heal him. Alright? Again, Yahuchanan is a sod level understanding. If you're going to be a sheep or a lamb of Yahusha, you have to have the 4 stomachs. Right now, we're spitting it up 2 or 3 stomachs later and chewing on that cud. Clean animals chew the cud. Unclean animals don't. In many cases. Okay? For Melech went down to that certain time into that pool and stirred up the water. This is verse 4. And whoever stepped in first, after the water was stirred, then the water became well. In the water they became well of whatever disease they had. Verse 5. Then a certain man was there who had a sickness of 38 years. Remember, they wandered in the wilderness for 38 years. The man is Israel, you see. They didn't go, remember, in the Torah, it's 38 years after all that first generation was dead. Now when Yahusha saw him laying there, now pay attention to the details. Knowing that he had already been there a long time, he said to him, this Israel, 38 years in the wilderness, a crippled man, he said, do you desire to become well? Now the sick man answered and said, Master, I have no man to put me into the pool when the water is stirred, and while I try, when I'm attempting to come down, another man will step in before me. Now, pay attention to the details. And Yahushua, now this is not a story. Let me explain something that most people don't understand. This is not a Sunday school story that you read, oh, how sweet and wonderful Yahushua was. He's teaching spiritual equations, mathematics. You see, he's teaching so many things that are just, you have to glean the pictures. And that's why the scriptures are only good for those who have the Ruach in them. Babes shall give you a lot of favor. I mean, babes are a non-issue. He helps them along, but you have to grow in the Ruach to understand. The Ruach sitting there speaking to me, showing me the details. I'm no scholar. I don't fill my mind with drivel. I don't go to man-made traditions and scholarly things. I don't go to higher education nonsense. You know, it's all going to on my face, you as I call it, you know, just in prayer and supplication. So So listen to this. It's very good. He said, rise up, take up your bed, and walk. And immediately the man became well. He took up his bed, and he was walking, and now it was the Shabbat day. Now, we can go into the story and teach more, but I'm trying to stay the focus on what? We have to drink a man's blood and eat of a man's flesh to be saved, to have eternal life. Now, that's the sort of the focus we're staying on. But if you don't know the symbolism and how to read the mysteries and the pictures, you'll never get it. So to recap, the water of regeneration, the water of renewal that the red heifers burnt up and put all the pieces into it, and they save it as a dust out outside the city, and then they come and add water to it if somebody needs to be cleansed. The priests go out and add water to it. And Yahushua is still doing this spiritually. He is the red heifer. Remember, he dropped his drops of blood on the same mount. Okay? So that's another thing. Because the physical water was cast aside, he says, rise, get up, and walk. The water of regeneration healed the man who was infirm. By his speaking the word, the water of the word out of his mouth. Remember the water of the renewal of the word in Ephesians 5. The washing of the water of the word. He washed his water of regeneration, or the wine, on this man. And he became fully whole. He picked up his bed and he walked. That's another point we're going on. Now we're going to, I think what we're going to do, we're going to go into the bread and back up with the wine press. I don't want to overwhelm you with the wine press in Revelation right away, but let's go into, stay in, Yahuchanan 5:24. Let's read John 5:24. Now truly I will say to you that he who hears my word, the water, the washing of the water of the word, the wine that we drink, because we're hearing his word by saying we have to drink grape juice or wine at the true Passover that he inaugurated, okay? In unleavened bread that replaced the old elements. We don't have to have a staff. That's why that I know everybody's going to war with me, because I teach, if you study Shemot 12 or Exodus 12, you see they had to pillage Egypt through the day of the 14th. They had to strip them dry. They had to absolutely just get out of Egypt by stripping them from all of their treasures. So the Passover began at the beginning of the 14th, not at the end of it. Judaism does it at the end. It's impossible. So in other words, the beginning of the 14th is when we pillage Egypt. We take that Passover, and Egypt is a type or symbolism of the man trapped under the oppression of schoolmasters and these horrendous pressures of sin that have bound us into prison. We're taking that riches of the knowledge, of the treasure, the riches of that knowledge that has imprisoned us all those years. That's what the pillaging of Egypt is all about, from Mitzrayim. So it says, let me see, that was 5:24. Yeah, 24. So he who hears my word and believes in him, Yahuwah that sent me, possesses everlasting life. Now, it's inherent. It's not that we have it, but as he dwells in us, he is eternal, and we have that. And who does not come under condemnation, but he's passed from the death sentence to life. Remember the water of regeneration? That's what partaking of the wine is all about. So I'm going to go back more on the food, because remember, we have to drink of his blood and eat of his flesh. Okay? Now let's go into, since we're here, let's read John as far as connecting the bread. John Yahuchanan 5:30 through 38. Okay? Chapter 5:30 through 38. Of myself I am unable to do nothing. As I hear, I judge. My judgment is just, because I don't seek my own desire, but I seek the desire of my Father who sent me. If I bear witness of myself, my witness is not true. There is another who bears witness of me, and I know that the witness which he witnesses is true. I'm getting to my point.